Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mildly Competitive Life. I'm your host, Charles Chapman. Coming at you today, I've got one interesting tidbit of things I want to talk about. The NFL, not a whole lot going on. From a perspective, there's a lot of bad, not a lot of good. But one of the interesting things that's been talked about, since we no longer have the NFL draft and free agency to look forward to, everybody's overanalyzing this, so I want to get in, kind of give my 2 cents too, and kind of get into the talks of Dak Prescott's versus Jerry Jones. Contract talks extensions for a guy that feels like he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, if not the best. That's a good question right there. You got Tom Brady, you got Drew Brees, you got Russell Wilson. That's a tough conversation to kind of get into the top of right there. Those guys, at least Aaron Rodgers even. So there's 4 or 5 guys right there. That's kind of hard to get into that conversation. But Dak Prescott, successful guy, had a lot of good seasons. He looks like he could be the future of the Cowboys in terms of quarterback, and I know they want him there, and he wants to be there. So we'll see what's going on. Right now, the Cowboys applied a franchise tag on Dak Prescott, an exclusive franchise tag back in March, which he's set, if he signs that franchise tender, he's set to make $31.4 million in 2020, which not quite Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson makes an average of $35 million a year. Shut up. That would be the washing machine. Anyway, Russell Wilson set to make $35 million per year on his contract. That's what Dak wants. He wants that kind of money. He feels like he's worth Russell Wilson type money. He doesn't want Jared Goff money. He doesn't want Carson Wentz money. He wants Russell Wilson money. So $31.4 million next year, not exactly short of 35, but yeah. He wants a long-term deal. He has until July 15th to sign one. If he does not, he cannot sign another contract with the Cowboys until after the 2020 season ends in spring of 2021. When the league year ends, I believe March 15th, somewhere around there. It's been a very interesting back and forth. A lot of people saying, well, the Cowboys don't want to pay him. The Cowboys obviously don't want him. He thinks he's worth too much. The Cowboys thinks he's not worth enough. They don't want to pay him a whole lot. Just all this back and forth. And it's really not the case. You know, the Cowboys want him. They want to pay him. And he wants to get paid. And it's just a matter of agreeing on what the dollar amount's going to be and the length and terms of the contract, really. Because right now, he wants north of $35 million a year, like I said, but the Cowboys have offered him a deal recently. It puts him just under 35. And according to Chris Sims, Dak Prescott turned down a 5-year deal for $175 million, and which would have made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL history. Instead, he's seeking a 4-year deal. The Cowboys want to sign him to a 5-year deal. He wants that final season. He said, basically, if it's a 5-year deal, that final season has to be north of $45 million, just for that 5th year. And so, kind of why is he doing that? He's setting himself up for, as Pat McAfee pointed out yesterday, it looks a lot like he's setting himself up for in 2022 and 2023 when we get the new salary cap and guys like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, or maybe not Aaron Rodgers, he'll be pretty old at that point, but guys like Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, who are signing these new contracts around that time, he's setting himself up to be getting paid with what he thinks what the market looks like those quarterbacks will be paid in 2022 and 2023. So, pretty smart on Dak's part to kind of set himself up for his next deal after this 4 or 5 year contract is over. To being paid $45 million at the end of that contract. Now we're going in there and we're negotiating for $45 to $50 million a year. Pretty smart, especially if he wins a Super Bowl or an MVP, or leads the league in passing, or sets some kind of passing record during this next contract. That's a smart deal for Dak Prescott. I get it. On the flip side, I kind of want to take a look at something that's kind of interesting. I tossed this around with a couple of guys on Twitter yesterday. And we kind of agreed on a few things here. One of the things was the Cowboys brought in Andy Dalton. They paid him $3 million for 1 season to be obviously, to be the backup to Dak Prescott. But the question is for me, they waive Cooper Rush, they bring in Andy Dalton, they've got this extra guy there. Um, my question is, did they bring in Andy Dalton just to back up Dak Prescott, or did they bring in Andy Dalton also to kind of put a little bit of pressure on Dak to kind of sign this deal or sign your tender? Because we'll play the 2020 season with or without you. We'll go forward into the future with or without you. We've got the tools in place. Andy Dalton, let's put it this way. I agreed with the guys we talked about yesterday. Andy Dalton is old. He's older than Dak Prescott. He obviously isn't as talented as Dak Prescott, but he's still, in my opinion, is a veteran quarterback that has the skill set, the intangibles, and knows how to play in the system. The Cowboys have a brand new head coach. They've got all kinds of great guys on defense, offense, and just think about it, the only thing, even if Andy Dalton, he's got $4 million in incentives based into his put into his contract. So if he plays in 2020, his incentive deals are only worth $4 million, so he only get paid $7 million next year. So versus paying him $7 million versus paying $31.5 for Dak Prescott, or even north of $35 million for Dak Prescott. I mean, come on. What would you rather have for your starting quarterback? And that's just the thing with Dak. A lot of people feel like he hasn't performed good enough to be a top 5 quarterback or be paid like one. I disagree. I feel like he's been one of the best quarterbacks, especially for where he was drafted. He was drafted ahead of or behind Carson Wentz and Jared Goff, guys that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars, making really good money. And he was drafted behind those guys. He's performed just as good, if not better, than those guys, in my opinion. And that's coming from a guy who's a big Carson Wentz fan, a big Eagles fan. But Dak Prescott's one of those guys for me. If I was looking for a franchise quarterback, I'd want Dak in that discussion as well. So, he's definitely good, but he's definitely performed really well. But here's the fun part about what Dak has going for him. He is set up to have probably his best season yet in 2020. And I say that because there's probably more talent around him than there's ever been before on offense and on defense. When you look at it, you got running backs like Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. He's got 2 running backs there. His offensive line should be healthy. He's got Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup are back at wide receiver. And, of course, the Dallas Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb. And, obviously, one of the best moves Jerry Jones has ever made in drafting was this year's draft. And he gets CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma. So you're looking at 3, maybe 4 really good wide receivers. If you count some of the other guys they've got, they don't really have a lot of guys that stand out. But I'm looking at the roster here, and at least those 3 wide receivers, you got 3 of them that you can put out there. Like I said, Gallup, Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. That's a pretty good set right there. You got 2 Blakes at tight end, and Blake Bell and Blake Jarwin. So you got a couple of guys that can go out there and catch. Blake Bell is more of a blocking tight end than a receiving tight end. But if you saw him in Oklahoma, he can catch the football once in a while. He's a big target at 6'6", 252 pounds. He can run the ball as well as a fullback. And Blake Jarwin, big old guy, 6'5", 260. He's obviously the kid from Oklahoma State, very, very talented. Definitely ready to take over as the starting tight end for the Dallas Cowboys with the departure of Jason Witten. And so you're looking at just those guys right there. When you look at the receivers he has, the skill position players he has to get the ball to, he's setting himself up for the best season he's ever had. And on defense, of course, the Cowboys brought in, they drafted Neville Gallimore, they brought in Gerald McCoy, they're getting Aldon Smith back from suspension. So if Aldon is in shape and he can be the guy he was in San Francisco, in Oakland, he's been to the Super Bowl. He knows how to get there. He knows what work ethic it needs to get there. He can definitely help this defense turn into what they are. I mean, they've got Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch, that linebacker, Chidobe Uzi, Trayvon Diggs. They drafted Trayvon Diggs out of Alabama at defensive back. This is a team that's set up pretty well to be probably the best Dallas Cowboys team they've had in a couple of years. And I would definitely say it's one of the front runners for me for the NFC East title. And they're gonna have to take it from the Eagles this year, because I guarantee the Eagles aren't going to give it up like last year. Injury sparring, this should be the Eagles division, but the Cowboys should definitely compete with it. And you expect to see those 2 right there at the end. with the Redskins right behind him, probably the Giants way back in the pack of the pack. But yeah, so this looks like the best season that Dak Prescott could ever have with the tools he has around him and everything, and he might not even be around to see it, because if he sits this season out to get a better contract, wow, okay, but I don't think he'll do it, but just saying, there's a possibility there. Guys, let me know what you think. Peace out. Leave comments below. Like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Have a great day.